MK, they will heckle you.
That's fine. Bring it
So
up.
that's they will interrupt. They will do that. But otherwise,
You have enough food for the front. Hi, hi, hi. All the best, bro.
Sitting there at the back.
You guys had your thing today.
No, ours is tomorrow.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
what day is it today? Oh, yeah, I know.
Ours tomorrow afternoon. It's during the caucus, so nobody's going to be here. Definitely. I'll figure out some things. We went consulted on the minutes for the DA and the state structure. And we changed it to 7.5 today.
It's called. There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 32, Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment Appropriation Bill.
I now call upon the Honourable Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment to introduce the debate.
Honourable House Chair, Ministers present, Deputy Minister Swartz and Singh, Honourable Chairperson and Portfolio Committee on Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Honourable Gancho and committee members. Members of Parliament, Chairpersons, Board members and CEOs of our entities, Director General Ms. Shabalala, Team Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, ladies and gentlemen, fellow South Africans. It is a great honour to deliver the maiden budget vote 32 of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment of the 7th Administration. We deliver this budget vote mindful that we will be guided by the priorities of the Government of National Unity. We are mandated by Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the Bill of Rights, Section 24, which asserts that everyone has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being, and to have the environment protected for the benefit of the present and future generations through reasonable legislation and other measures that prevent pollution and ecological degradation, promote conservation, and secure ecologically sustainable development and use of natural resources, while promoting justifiable economic and social development. Climate change is warming Africa at approximately 1.5 times the global average rate, leading to more frequent and severe extreme weather events across the continent and in South Africa. Parliament has now adopted the Climate Change Bill. This bill provides for a detailed response to climate change and the mitigation of greenhouse gases which cause climate change in line with South Africa's international obligations. Our focus will be on coordinating a response across government and in all 3 spheres of government. We will also be focusing on implementing ambitious actions, in particular through the sectoral emission targets and carbon budget allocations to major companies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, including through the Just Energy Transition Investment Plan. By the end of this financial year, we should have finalized the establishment of the Climate Change Respond Fund. This will be crucial in financing adaptation and addressing loss and damage. We are implementing a just energy transition. We plan to accelerate investment in renewable energy projects. We need to strengthen our transmission grid, and with our abundance of solar, wind and mineral resources, we are well positioned to generate jobs in renewable energy, green hydrogen, green steel, electrical vehicles and other green products. A particular focus is in Mpumalanga, where many livelihoods are at risk, and we remain committed to facilitating new industries, new economic opportunities and sustainable jobs. South Africa remains a responsible global citizen, and we remain committed to the multilateral rules-based regime under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and its Paris Agreement. We are preparing our second nationally determined contribution through technical work and then wide consultation. We take into account the outcome of the first global stocktake and communicate another fair and ambitious contribution in 2025. The department finalized and issued decisions on 320 environmental impact applications in 2023-24, 99% issued within the regulated timeframe. As a means to enable the country's response to the energy situation, the department made a commitment to finalize energy generation, transmission and distribution infrastructure applications within 57 days from the receipt of the final report. 80.5% of energy generation, transmission and distribution applications were issued on time after the receipt of the final report, enabling a generation potential of 51,358 megawatts of energy within the regulated timeframe. The department commits to finalize all environmental impact applications that are within its full control within the regulated framework in 24-25 financial year. The Department Directorate of Appeals and Legal Review finalized 16 Eskom minimum emission standard appeals decisions that were signed off by my predecessor, Minister Creasy, on the 22nd of May 2024. The director further managed to prioritize and finalize 30 energy appeals within 23-24 financial year, which assisted in relieving the energy situation. We saw an increase in rhino poaching in 2023, with Hlui in Mfolozi Park in KwaZulu-Natal facing the brunt of the poaching. With the dehorning program beginning in April 2024, we've begun to see some easing of the pressure in KwaZulu-Natal. In order to grow the rhino population, we are working to finalize the biodiversity management plan for black and white rhinoceros. Working with law enforcement authorities, we will continue to intensify enforcement and contribute to successful prosecution of poachers. A rhino should be able to walk around in the field with its horn intact and not be vulnerable to attack. There is something wrong in a system that incentivizes harm instead of protection, and we need to fix that system. The Working for Fisheries program has supported 8 significant job-generating projects, and anti-poaching measures continue to be a priority for the Fisheries Management Branch and the Living Marine Resources Fund to ensure sustainable management of South Africa's marine resources. Joint law enforcement operations will continue to be conducted with partners under Operation Pakisa. We commit to accelerate the support to all small-scale fisheries cooperatives in the 4 coastal provinces. We need to connect and reconnect our coastal communities to the ocean economy and encourage entrepreneurship. We have submitted the Aquaculture Development Bill to Parliament for approval during the 7th administration. We will also conduct inspections and verifications of rights holders in the 6 priority fisheries: hake, abalone, rock lobster, lionfish, squid, and pelagic. In contributing to the expansion of the conservation estate, 135,000 hectares of land were added in the last financial year. The study on the interlinkages of migration, land degradation, and drought was adopted by Cabinet. The finalization of the policy position on the conservation and sustainable use of the 5 iconic species, black and white rhino, lion, leopard, and elephant, was also adopted by Cabinet. This policy position proposes to end the captive keeping of lions for commercial purposes and close captive lion facilities, phasing out the domestication and intensification of rhino management, and enhance the conservation and sustainable use of leopards. The prohibition notice on the establishment or registration of new captive lion breeding facilities was finalized and approved for implementation. This prohibition pertains to the establishment or registration of new captive breeding facilities, commercial exhibition facilities, rehabilitation facilities, or sanctuaries for live specimens of African lions, as well as the keeping of live specimens of African lions in any other controlled environment. The ministerial task team, assigned to recommend voluntary exit pathways and options for captive lions, has concluded its report. The report includes recommendations on how to phase down the industry, taking into account the well-being of the animals and the impact of jobs for the workers in such facilities. Regulations on threatened and protected species were finalized and will be tabled in the National Council of Provinces during this financial year. The NEMBA bill has also been completed and has been released for public comments. To attract investments in the biodiversity economy, we profiled 59 bankable businesses on the biosector investment portal. As a result, 2 projects attracted an investment of $450,000 to promote conservation and community well-being. The 2 beneficiary sites are the Madikwe Barakolahadi Community Property Association in the Northwest and Blada River Canyon Nature Reserve. This investment will be used to develop a management plan and implement a biodiversity credit system. To reach our goal of a 30% expansion of the conservation estate by 2030 for both terrestrial and marine ecosystems, we will adopt a mega living landscape approach. This will include a mix of land acquisition, development of stewardship sites, and other effective conservation measures. To make a significant contribution to the economy, the focus will be on developing biodiversity economy nodes to generate opportunities in ecotourism, the wildlife economy, and bioprospecting sector. Additionally, we will design mega hubs in the provinces. Sandparks has secured $10 million for the Global Environment Facility to fund a project that will implement the mega living landscapes concept in the Barberton, Makonjwa, Greater Addo, and Eastern Cape grasslands landscapes, and has developed a climate change preparedness strategy. A close working relationship between SAPS and Sandparks Environmental Crimes Investigation Unit has resulted in several successful prosecutions and convictions with lengthy sentences. The department surpassed its target for reducing hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFCs, in 2023, achieving more than a 50% reduction. This accomplishment significantly contributes to South Africa's role in global efforts to protect the ozone layer and phase out HCFCs, which are classified as ozone depleting substances. South Africa aims to phase out the use of HCFCs ahead of the 2040 targets set by the Montreal Protocol for the protection of the ozone layer. The department is committed to supporting local governments in increasing waste diversion from landfill sites through reuse, recycling, and recovery, focusing on packaging waste such as paper, plastic, and glass through EPR schemes. 8 municipalities are targeted to receive EPR infrastructure and support for separate waste collection. The department will also provide technical assistance to municipalities applying for waste management fleet purchases using parts of municipal infrastructure grants to enhance waste collection services, combat illegal dumping, and improve landfill site management. 29 municipalities will receive support for cleaning campaigns aimed at enhancing cleanliness. 50,000 tons of waste tires were processed, an increase of 38% from the previous year. The South African Weather Service continues with its key objective to maintain, extend, and improve the quality of meteorological and ambient air quality related information systems for the benefit of all South Africans. This includes the provision of dependable public weather, aviation, marine forecasts, and severe weather information. Over the medium term, 375 million rand will be allocated to improve and optimize the entity's radar, surface observation, air quality, and ICT infrastructure networks, amongst other priorities. Much needed radar spares have been received and installed at sites requiring refurbishment. The operation of ambient air quality monitoring networks in the Vaal, Highveld, Waterberg, Bojonala National Ambient Air Quality Priority Areas have been significantly impacted by electricity blackouts. Damage to measuring instruments and supporting infrastructure has led to reduced data availability from these networks, affecting our ability to meet data availability targets, crucial for assessing intervention impacts and informing air quality management decisions countrywide. Enhancements to the early warning systems are planned to better support the country in responding to the escalating severity and frequency of weather-related events nationwide. By the end of March 2024, the South African National Biodiversity Institute achieved an overall performance of 95% of the 23-24 annual performance plan targets. Implementation of the garden's infrastructure maintenance and development programs with 50 priority infrastructure maintenance projects were completed and 10 priority new infrastructure assets were developed. A total of 1,467,000 visited our national gardens and over 217,000 children and youth participated in the Kids in Gardens Biodiversity Education Program, which is run in National Botanical and Zoological Gardens. Botanical and zoological gardens continue to serve their role as centers of social cohesion, supporting local economies and serving as ambassadors of biodiversity and culture. This included hosting of events, the 31st season for the ever-popular Kirstenbosch Summer Sunset Concert Series, and being available for supporting healthy outdoor activities. The institution is also continuing with the strategy for the repositioning of the National Zoological Gardens, the National Botanical Gardens expansion strategy, the infrastructure maintenance and development program, which is aimed at improving the state of facilities of the institute for enhanced customer product offering. In the 2023-2024 financial year, Isimangaliso Wetland Park successfully achieved a clean audit opinion, marking a significant milestone in its financial governance. Advanced progress has been made in commercialization efforts, including conducting a due diligence assessment prior to assuming commercial assets from Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife. Ezemvelo. In conclusion, I would like to reaffirm that working together with my colleagues, Deputy Ministers Swartz and Singh, as part of the GNU, we will prioritize clean governance and ethical administration free from corruption. I wish to thank Team DFFE, led by the Director General, for the efforts to preserve, cherish, and protect our environment. To the chairpersons, board members, and CEOs of our entities, let us continue to work together to safeguard our environment and promote sustainable development for the benefit of all South Africans. We will work with the Portfolio Committee to ensure that the department is held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Gancho.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members, good afternoon. Today, we stand at a pivotal moment in our nation's history, as the 55th National Conference of the ANC has underscored the profound challenge climate change presents to South Africa's economic stability. The experienced droughts and floods are a crucial reminder of the urgent need to double our efforts towards climate adaptation and mitigation across all levels of government and society. Section 24 of the Constitution states that everyone has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being, as well as to have the environment protected for the benefit of the current and the future generations. Honorable Chair, the climate system is included among the broad environmental rights guaranteed by the Constitution. It is commendable that the government has laid a solid foundation to enable climate action from adaptation to mitigation. As a country, we are at a stage where we are mobilizing climate action funds to implement both our domestic legislation and our international obligation. Climate justice is at the core of our climate action. Hence, we want our just transition to achieve procedural, distributive, intergenerational, and restorative justice. The signing of climate change bill will enhance our climate response and as aided by the establishment of the Climate Response Fund, the President announced during the State of the Nation address. I would like to encourage municipalities to review their climate response strategies so that when the funds become available, they will have passed the planning stages and moved to implementation. We are already experiencing extreme weather events such as floods, storms, droughts, and fires, and we need a collaborative effort to minimize the impacts, particularly for vulnerable communities. We must fortify our climate education programs, collaborating with communities, advocacy groups, and stakeholders to raise awareness about the causes and required responses. By uniting, we can mitigate these impacts and build resilience. Honorable members, the South African Weather Services plays a critical role in this context by providing meteorological services and early warnings for inclement weather, which are essential for risk management and safeguarding lives and property against severe weather impacts. This service also plans to improve the functionality of the National Ambient Air Quality Monitoring Network, which is important for the public health and well-being. The department has set aside 1.8 billion in funding for climate change initiatives over the midterm expenditure framework period. This funding is intended to support initiatives related to climate change legislation, resilience, adaptation, and the implementation of the climate change bill, which aims to foster a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy in South Africa. Honorable Chair, the department's budget is set to decrease at an average annual rate of 0.7, with a significant portion of the allocation going towards spending on goods and services, including funding for projects in the expanded public works program and the implementation of the Forestry Master Plan. Transfers and subsidies to the department's entities account for a substantial part of the spending, with reductions in the expanded public works program might affect the department to meet its core mandate. The reduction in the department for the expanded public works would likely affect the department's ability to create opportunities, work opportunities and jobs as part of its core mandate. The department also aims to create 93,000 work opportunities and 67 full-time jobs opportunities, 67,000 full-time job opportunities by March 2027 through various initiatives such as restoring and rehabilitating degraded ecosystems, increasing the percentage of land under conservation, protecting water resources, and addressing challenges in the fisheries and forestry sector. With a significant portion of the budget cut being directed to expanded public works program, the department may need to revise its targets for the mid-term expenditure framework period. This could mean that the planned job creation and work opportunities may be scaled back, or that the department will need to find more cost-effective ways to achieve its objectives. The reduction in funding could also impact the quality and the extent of the environmental protection and infrastructure projects that are implemented, potentially compromising the effectiveness of these initiatives in achieving the desired environmental and socio-economic outcomes. The mitigating strategies to counter the budget reduction for the department are centered around prioritizing key initiatives and optimizing resource allocation to ensure that the core performance of the department is maintained despite the financial constraints. The department should continue to prioritize its core mandates, which includes mitigating and adapting to climate change, creating employment opportunities, building and protecting South Africa's conservation estate, and promoting compliance with environmental legislation. The department should aim to ensure that the reduced budget does not negatively impact its core performance by finding more cost-effective ways to deliver its programs. This could involve streamlining operations, improving efficiency, and seeking alternative funding sources where possible. Honorable Chair, we call upon government, businesses, communities, and all other social partners to collaborate in mitigating the effects of climate change. We have seen how climate change undermines infrastructure, economic development, and our efforts to eradicate poverty. It also exacerbates the rising cost of living. The department remains committed in building and protecting South Africa's conservation estate by adding 300,000 hectares of land to conservation estate over the medium term, which is crucial for maintaining ecosystems, service, and biodiversity, both of which are essential for sustainable economic development and poverty alleviation. The department plans to leverage existing resources and infrastructure to the fullest extent possible, thereby maximizing the benefits of its programs without incurring additional cost. The department is open to exploring partnership with the private sector, non-profit organizations, and international agencies to secure additional funding and resources for climate and job creation initiatives. It must be noted that the department is considering diversifying its revenue streams and exemplifying by the Marine Living Resource Fund, which generates income from various sources such as levies and fees. This approach could be applied to other areas to support climate and job creation. The department may invest in projects that have potential to yield long-term benefits, particularly those that promote sustainable growth and job creation with the green economy. In conclusion, Honorable Chair, The ANC is resolute in its support for the climate change legislative framework, which is critical and guiding South Africa towards sustainable and climate resilient future. This framework is essential in the protecting lives and the livelihoods of all South Africans.
Honourable Member,
And we
your
call
time is
upon
now
all parties
expired.
to support this initiative. Thank you. We support the budget.
Thank you. The next speaker is the Honourable De Blok van Skeltinga, who is going to deliver a maiden speech.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Honourable members, South Africans. When I was a young boy, all I ever wanted to be was a game ranger. I was entranced by South Africa's rich diversity of nature, from bumping along in a game drive vehicle in the Kruger National Park to hiking the tracks traversing the Cape Floral Kingdom. The joy I derived from our natural environment was profound, and I felt a strong desire to share it with others while also safeguarding that environment from harm. That early imperative has shaped my life. I channeled my passion into academic pursuits and later into my professional career in the NGO sector, advocating for endangered species conservation and capacitating disadvantaged communities to both protect and profit from their natural habitats. Today, that young boy stands before you as a Member of Parliament, still dedicated to inspiring my fellow South Africans to cherish and protect our shared natural heritage. The Forestry, Fisheries and Environment portfolio has a heavy burden to bear. Our portfolio is faced, among other issues, with two existential challenges in the double crises of climate change and biodiversity loss. Irresponsible and unsustainable pillaging of our planet has birthed these terrible twins who've pushed our environment to the brink through their wicked and mutually perpetuating ways. Our work in this portfolio must be to urgently and pragmatically address these challenges. As the Honourable Minister, Dr. Deon George, has communicated publicly, he's aware of the gravity of this work. While we work to protect our natural resources and assets, we also live in one of the most unequal countries in the world, plagued by the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Our responsibility is not to only protect, but leverage our natural assets sustainably to help address each of these challenges. We can do this by creating green jobs, ensuring inclusion in the biodiversity economy, and leveraging our globally significant and unique environments to create opportunities for all. This is not an easy balancing act, but it can be achieved if there is political will and committed leadership. With these challenges in mind, we also face an extremely tight fiscus, as our economy has not grown to meet our needs. Compared to the previous financial year, the department is faced with an 11.4% reduction, with a dire outlook over the medium-term expense framework of over 2.5 billion rand in cuts. This is the legacy we have inherited from the 6th Parliament and those before it. Years and decades of poor policy, fiscal mismanagement, and the scourge of corruption have resulted in the critical work of this department being undermined by insufficient resourcing. We lay down the challenge to our new minister to undo these malpractices within his sphere of influence. Our minister, along with his deputies and his department, have an opportunity to set an example for the rest of the executive by displaying impeccable management, adhering to evidence-based decision-making, recruiting suitably qualified and capable staff, and displaying strict fiscal prudence. We expect our minister over his term to use the limited budget efficiently by ensuring good governance, rooting out wasteful and irregular expenditure, and instilling a culture of zero tolerance towards corruption. Indeed, any diversion from this within the limited budget will inevitably result in a failure to reach one or more objectives outlined in the ambitious annual performance plans. As a trained economist and a former Shadow Minister of Finance, we believe that the new minister has the necessary skills and experience to rise to this challenge. The department's work is simply too important and too urgent to be plagued by mismanagement and misspending. To address budget cuts, we welcome the minister's commitment to leverage funding from the Just Energy Transition Investment Plan. The tragic effects of climate change were felt just last week here in Cape Town, as thousands of residents were displaced from their homes and suffered untold damage and loss from flooding. It is critical that South Africa makes its transition from a coal-driven economy to one that embraces other forms of energy, particularly renewables. This will help to ensure the stability of power supply, be kinder to our precious environment, and protect future generations from the harmful effects of climate change, such as the increased threat of natural disasters. Through a just energy transition, we can ensure that we create space for the upskilling and transfer of existing workers in the energy sector, as well as provide new opportunities for employment. Not only does the just energy transition offer exciting prospects of its own volition, but by reducing our carbon footprint, we will position ourselves well economically. For example, by reducing carbon emissions from energy production and industry supply chains, we can avoid putting 47 billion rand of South Africa's exports at risk under the impending carbon border adjustment mechanism of the European Union. Economic arguments aside, correcting our deplorable record as the worst polluters on the continent and the 14th biggest in the world is a moral imperative if we take stewardship of our planet seriously. We have a golden opportunity now to turn our reputation around and become leaders in the global south and indeed the world. The climate change bill processed by the previous parliament is currently on the president's desk awaiting his signature. Signing this into law would be a significant signal to the world that we are taking this issue seriously. This bill gives us the legislative and regulatory framework within which we can start to make real progress towards the institution of sectoral emissions targets, climate mitigation and adaptation, and the movement towards cleaner energy. We encourage the Minister to remind the President of the importance and urgency in this regard. Minister and Deputy Ministers, the hopes of that young boy are echoed by millions of South Africans across the country and also enshrined in our Constitution. Please take us seriously and lead us over this next term towards a sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future. We will hold you to account while you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is Honourable Gaza.
Thank you, House Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Honourable Deputy Ministers, Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honourable members of the Portfolio Committee, I greet you all. The MK Party has pleasure for the opportunity to respond to the budget votes number 32 of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, and also on the annual performance plan for the 2024-2025. We also recognize the governance imperatives as arises from the Bill of Rights, Chapter 2, and from Section 24 of the Constitution, which guarantees wonke umhlali wase-South Africa ukuthi unelungelo lokuhlala ezindaweni ezingenabo ubungozi empilweni zabo. However, we have a serious concern regarding the department's strategic focus and priority areas that are scoped such that they appear to be exclusively on the environmental and climate change imperatives and fail to take on board, bring into focus, and commit to the execution of the economic programs that department has been tasked with. In this regard, we have in mind the ocean economy, the fisheries economy, and the aquacultural economy. On the issue of ocean economy, South Africa's fifth administration adopted in 2015 a national strategic program on the oceans economy, Operation Phakisa, and sustained it as one of the national priority programs. The program was aimed at generating additional 177,800,000 job opportunities by 2030. However, it appears that since the sixth administration, the program has been downgraded or sidelined, if I may say so. Even in your APP for 2024-25, it does not feature strong enough in your strategic focus and in your priority areas as key program. With this, we also note the lack of focus on the fisheries and agriculture industries. Our view as the MK on fisheries and economy is that the fisheries industry is not receiving adequate attention to drive the sector economic value growth, Black economic empowerment, expansion of the SME sector, and increase in new entrants. Moreover, there appears to be a glaring failure by the department to develop a program based on a strategic policy nexus of the fisheries sector with the aquatic foods industry and public health imperatives. We also note, as the MK Party, that on the issue of aquaculture economy, the phenomenal growth of the aquaculture sector globally as the world's fastest growing food sector, which presents a significant opportunity for economic growth, jobs, and social upliftment of many communities. Globally, the aquaculture production volumes are now exceeding those of wild fish capture industries. Yet, there does not seem to a focus or priority area in this regard for South Africa to take its position in this key opportunity. The department's strategic plan and APP for 2024-2025 creates an impression of the department that it sees itself as a fundamental and almost exclusive as an environmental and climate change entity. So the question that we have as the MK is that, does the department structurally configured, geared, and capacitated to deliver on the ocean economic program, fisheries, and aquaculture industries beyond the environmental regulatory issues? Or should the focal point for the ocean economy be moved to a more appropriate economic ministry, new or existing, and led by a different minister? Maybe in order to reflect the full scope of work with this department, it will be appropriate to call it the Department of Environment, Forestry, and Oceans Economy. Furthermore, the department was tasked with the initiative to develop the All-Encompassing Oceans Act, yet it does not appear in your APP. As the MK, we want to know if the department is still pursuing the Oceans Act initiative, if so, how? And when is the process expected to be rolled out? Given the strategic importance of the ocean economy for economic growth, social upliftment, and jobs, as well its geostrategic dimension in the unfolding global governance and security architecture, as MK, we recommend that you prioritize Oceans Economy Program and restore it a national priority area. In order to accelerate the implementation of the Oceans Economy, may you please capacitate the Ocean Economy Secretariat adequately and with expertise covering the entire program, restore the interministerial, interdepartmental, and industry engagement mechanism that were set up to drive this multi-sectoral strategic program, and also elevate the oceans economy programs to a strategic integrated program. The growing geostrategic tensions and changing global governance interest necessitates that South Africa develops a long-term plan on the ocean economy underpinned by the Ocean Act. Comprehensive ocean economy master plan and ocean government architecture to protect, promote, and advance the country's national ocean. So in conclusion, as the MK Party, we believe a well-functioning Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and Environment is critical for advancing South Africa environmental, forestry, and ocean interests within the fast-evolving global governance systems and industry value chains to enable the development of a more prosperous, secure, and equitable South Africa. We urge the department to address our concerns and implement a truly strategic plan with annual performance plans that prioritizes the needs of the people of South Africa, secure the interests of the Republic of South Africa, and advances the goals of a united, sovereign, and prosperous Africa. We thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Dr. Managa, who will deliver maiden speech.
Honorable Chairperson, it's quite an honor for me to participate in this debate. Budget vote 32 of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment. I'm deployed in this house by the economic freedom fighters. The economic freedom fighters rejects the proposed budget. Vote 32. When the minister addressed the portfolio committee last week, he indicated that the core focal areas for the department are climate change, biodiversity, and pollution. These challenges affect the health of our people, Honorable Minister, and decrease agricultural yields, which in turn affect the food security. Unlike the mainstream noise made by proponents of the so-called just transition, which is parroted by the new minister, in its truest sense, environmentally sustainable development means that this generation is able to meet its needs for survival without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It doesn't mean this generation must self-immolate on the altar of the Western imposed notions of just transitions. House Chair, the transition will not be just if it leaves behind millions of people out of jobs and compromises our energy sustainability. So, Minister Dr. Dion George, you may want to curb your enthusiasm about the concept of just transition and focus on ensuring that our natural resources are protected from injudicious exploitation by the multinationals. For this reason, House Chair, the economic freedom fighters advocates for nature conservation that centers the needs of the people, because we realize that conservation and human development are not mutually exclusive imperatives. On fisheries, we condemn the continued exclusion of local fishing communities from the formal granting of fishing licenses in favor of the established companies. The country's approach to the fishing industry ought to be guided by the principle that marine resources are public resources, and therefore the exploitation of these resources should benefit the public as a whole. This must essentially lead to wide-scale transformation of fishing industry by allocating fishing rights and licenses to small-scale and emerging black fishing companies. This must include catalytic, technical, and market-related support and subsidies to fishing communities to guarantee that there is transition from subsistence and commercial fishing. This proposed budget continues the neglectful attitude the government has had towards the small-scale fishing for the past 30 years. The same attitude persists in the conceptualization of the forestry industry. While the state owns vast forestry reserves, these are leased out for the next to nothing to private companies who exploit these resources without regard for communities around which these forests are located. Honorable Chair, this requires that one of the key priorities of the state ought to be the recapitalization and reposition the state company, South African Forestry Company, SAFCOL, as the prime forestry company in South Africa, leading the transformation objectives of the state in the sector. SAFCOL must be given overall control of all state forests currently leased out to private companies, and allow SAFCOL to renegotiate the terms and conditions of the lease agreements to prioritize flow of benefits to communities in and around these forests. As I conclude, Honorable Chair, this budget is way off mark and continues to center the same old players that have contributed to the stagnation of these sectors for the past few decades. Therefore, the economic freedom fighters reject this budget. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Zondo.
Thanks, Chairperson. I'm very surprised that when we started these debates, there are parties that always objecting. Then you wonder that when you come
Order,
to the
honorable
House,
members, order.
when- Then you wonder if you come.
Order, honorable members. Honorable member. Honorable member, you can interject. You don't have to shout while you're doing it. Please continue, honorable member. Order, honorable member. Continue, honorable member at the podium.
Thanks, Chair. We are here because we are elected by the people to represent them here. So we have come here to craft and make policies to serve the people. So as the IFP, we come here with the aim of being constructive in order to serve the people of South Africa. Before I delve into my debate, I want to extend my deepest condolences to the families of the more than 10 people who have lost their lives during the wildfire in KwaZulu-Natal over the past weekend. We mourn this loss with you. Please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. As the IFP, we are delighted to be represented in this department by the Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Singh, who has many years of experience in this environment arena, having been an MEC for more than 10 years in this portfolio in KwaZulu-Natal. He has worked very close with the late His Excellency Umntwana Wapindangene, trying to change the people of life of KwaZulu-Natal on a number of environmental projects across the world, including saving of the black rhino and working with the world-renowned conservationists. As the IFP will support this ministry, not because of our representation in the department, but because as a party, we place a very heavy emphasis on the project, on protecting of the environment and good stewardship over our natural resources. Our manifesto, which is the first manifesto to have environmental affairs as one of their key focus areas, speaking direct into this, we have previously stated that next 10 years in human history will be the most crucial for our survival on this planet. The world is facing a triple environment crisis, which include biodiversity loss, climate disruption, and an ever-increasing pollution. Therefore, we have repeatedly stated that we'll support initiatives that promote sustainable fishing practice, marine protected area, education and awareness campaign to increase public understanding of environment threats. We have vowed to encourage recycling and proper disposal of plastic waste and overall ensure community empowerment through education on conservation. Honorable Chairperson, year in, year out, we have hammered on the fact that development and climate change ambitions must not be seen as a zero-sum game, but rather as the two necessary pillars of sustainable and renewable future for South Africa. Innovation and technology can play a great role in assisting us to reach these goals and must be embraced by this department. As a grasp with the climate and other environmental challenges, we trust that under the new administration, some of these IFP proposals will have to be adopted by this department and the executive and taken forward in an effort to proactively prioritize biodiversity and conservation. As the IFP will support Vote 32 and will work with you into making sure that we change the life of our people. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. The next speaker is the Honorable Deputy Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, the Honorable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Remember, it's my maiden speech in this department. Let me also associate myself with the condolences that were offered to those very many people that passed on in the unfortunate forest fires in KwaZulu-Natal. And the Minister and the department assure you that we will work with the provincial and local authorities to mitigate these risks in the future. I am delighted and honored to have been given this responsibility. and appointed by President Ramaphosa to serve in his cabinet as Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Today, honorable members, we are presenting this budget, and I just want to remind Honorable Dr. Managa that if you want the things done that you've asked, we've got to have a budget. So refusing a budget means we don't have money to do the things that you want us to do. In addition to what the minister has said, I will focus on what the department's going to do during the 7th administration. Firstly, we aim to deepen our quest to accelerate the enforcement of environmental laws, combat the poaching of fauna and flora, and end illegal fishing while enhancing regulatory frameworks to ensure that conservation efforts complement sustainable economic growth and job creation, which is going to be our focus. Although fundamentally anthropocentric, our constitutional injunction as enshrined in Section 24 of the Constitution should be extended where possible. We should all start to realize the direct and indirect effects that our actions have on all living things. To quote one of the leading proponents of biocentricity, philosopher Aldo Leopold, who said that when dealing with the environment, and I quote, "A thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it tends otherwise," close quote. The minister has spoken about enforcement, and to this end, we are going to be looking at the admin penalties bill, which will provide an administrative penalty system as an additional enforcement tool for environmental contraventions. Honorable Chair and members, our enforcement arms must receive more significant resources, both in terms of capacity and logistical support if we want to succeed in this arena. Specialist training is crucial, as well as intelligence sharing between other state security and policing agencies. Turning to fisheries compliance and law enforcement, we will review the Marine Living Resources Act later this year, and our work through the Fisheries Management Branch will focus on strategies to rebuild West Coast rock lobster and abalone resources. We will partner with stakeholders to combat poaching and illegal, unreported, and unregulated activities that impact South Africa's fish stocks. It is crucial, honorable members, to us that the socio-economic needs of fishing communities are thoroughly considered in all decision-making processes. Turning to transformation, this is an area which we will be greatly focused on, and transformation is one of the key pillars of the National Biodiversity Economy Strategy, which will aim to include, and hear this, honorable members, rural communities and previously disadvantaged individuals, which we are already doing in the biodiversity economy for rural socio-economic development. As far as oceans and coasts goes, I want to assure Honorable Gasa that developing our ocean economy is going to be a key focus area, and it will be done in a coordinated manner with other relevant departments in government. Ocean governance through management of environmental sustainability requires appropriate marine spatial planning, which is a key priority for the program and offers numerous benefits. It contributes to the sustainable management of marine resources and supports economic, environmental, and social goals. There will be a focus on marine protected areas and what's allowed and what's not allowed in those areas. As far as economic development in rural communities, one of our jewels in our crown is World Heritage Site, Isamangaliso Wetland Park. And when we have more time, we'll tell you exactly how many jobs have been created for the rural disadvantaged communities in that area. And this is something we will continue to do, provide job opportunities for people who have been disadvantaged. In conclusion, House Chair, let me thank my colleague, Honorable Minister Dion George and Deputy Minister Bernice. Our work is really cut out for us, and we hope that as we embark on this journey, that we will get the collaborative effort of this Portfolio Committee and Parliament so that we can achieve a harmonious balance between environmental conservation and economic prosperity for all South Africans. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. I now recognize the Honorable Deputy Minister for Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, the Honorable Swartz.
Honorable House Chair, Honorable Minister John George, Honorable Deputy Minister Singh, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, members of the Portfolio Committee, members of Parliament, good afternoon. The department, through the Environmental Program Branch, is focused on the creation of work opportunities through the implementation of the extended public works programs in executing its mandate. Through a range of EPWP projects implemented by the department, the DFFE exceeded its 2023-24 EPWP target, creating 43,302 work opportunities, as the department created a total of 80,918 work opportunities. The work opportunities created benefited 60% of women, 58 youth, and 1% of persons with disabilities. Youth employment included the employment of graduates, enabling them to gain critical experience in line with Section 24 of the Constitution. It is encouraging that some of these graduates were absorbed into the municipalities and other host organizations. Furthermore, the department met its target for full equivalence, meaning that it was able to improve the duration of employment, noting that EPWP participants are paid in accordance with the number of days worked. The implementation of the department's achievement in exceeding the wetland rehabilitation targets signifies its contribution to the protection and conservation of wetlands, enhancing their capacity to provide ecosystem services. The department exceeded its target of 9 biodiversity infrastructure facilities, constructed, renovated to 14. It also exceeded its achievement on biodiversity economy, infrastructure facilities, and overnight visitor accommodation and staff accommodation units, whose target of 21 was exceeded by 1 to 22. Such demonstrate the department's commitment to balancing conservation efforts with economic development, benefiting both the environment and local communities. Furthermore, this achievement marks progress towards the inclusive biodiversity economy. In this financial year, we have prioritized the creation of 31,075 EPWP work opportunities and 22,538 full-time equivalents through the implementation of the Working for Water, Working on Fire, and Working for Wetlands and the municipal greening and cleaning programs. The department aims to clear 295 hectares of land invaded by invasive alien plants and rehabilitate 23 wetlands, will maintain the Working on Fire program by suppressing at least 90% of wildfires. The Working on Fire program remains a priority in the 2024-25 financial year, noting that experts have already warned of the increase in frequency and intensity of fires due to climate change. The department will also maintain the Working for Wetlands program to rehabilitate wetlands and ensure they continue to provide key ecosystem services that provide socio-economic benefits to various communities. Honorable members, SANParks, one of our entities, also participates in the DFFE-funded EPWP, which is aimed at creating jobs targeting women, youth, and people with disabilities. Under this program, SANParks exceeded all targets in the previous financial year, having employed 5,150 full-time equivalents, employing 7,098 youth, 6,483 women, and 198 people with disabilities. Over the medium term, under this program, SANParks aims to create over 13,860 jobs targeting women, youth, and people with disabilities, mostly from neighboring communities to national parks. The department, through the Forestry branch, working in collaboration with social partners, namely labor and other government departments, has continued the successful implementation of the 5-year plan. A significant legislative milestone includes the President's signing of the amended National Veld and Forest Fire Bill into law. This amendment facilitates the formation of fire protection associations, crucial for managing veld and fires effectively. Honorable members, in conclusion, please allow me to thank my colleagues in Government of National Unity, our Minister, Dr. John George, and Deputy Minister Singh, as we are working together in leading this portfolio. I wish to thank Team DFFE led by Director General Ms. Nofundo Shabalala. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. The next speaker will be the Honorable Dr. Letlape.
To the House Chair, the Honorable Minister and the two deputies, the Chair of the committee, and the DG if present. It does not make sense to me to export coal and to import loans. We live in the same planet. So if coal is bad for the environment, why is it good to make certain South Africans rich while we destroy our roads exporting it, then get loans we cannot afford for clean energy and build programs? Keep it simple and explain to us what the logic is. We've recently lost 5 members of the SANDF who tried to keep warm in an office container whilst on duty. And they died from carbon monoxide poisoning. We've just had a forest fire in KZN with multiple deaths. And it is alleged that people were trying to keep warm when they started the field fire. Every year, we hear of people dying in their shacks trying to keep warm. Shacks coming alive. Not so long ago, South Africa was the cheapest producer of electricity in the world. Electricity is now not affordable. Our communities have to employ izinyoka to do illegal connections because we've made a basic need unaffordable. Someone needs to explain to me why life is terrible to be an ordinary citizen. Where I come from, our municipality has put up a 200 rands levy for electricity. Just because they have lavish lifestyles and they feed on society. I've worked all my life. I've paid off my bond. And now can't afford to live in my house because of rates and taxes. What type of society does that to its citizens? So, Minister, I understand that we want clean energy, but when you export your coal, what are they going to do? Put it as ornaments in their houses, or are they going to burn it for energy? If they can, the duty of the department is to ensure that we as South Africans comply with the international emission standards. And like the airline, we put an oxygen mask on ourselves before we save others. The environment. I'm a healthcare practitioner. We live in filthy neighborhoods. We can't clean up after ourselves. You go to Rwanda, there's a cleaning campaign once a month. So would it be possible, Minister, as a fellow member of the House, to urge that constituency work include going to our neighborhoods for cleanup operations? Let's say Makastwana. Go back to where you come from. And there are simple things that we can do to improve our environment. A lot of diseases come from simple things that we're lazy to clean up after ourselves. We don't live in the communities that we talk about. And I hope we have to stop othering ordinary South Africans. I hope the language in the next 5 years will not be what we do for others. It will be what we do for us. Ke Motswana. There's a saying, Setswana ere re na le rona, not re na le lona, which means it's about us. We are with us, not with you. Until when we talk about society, we talk about ourselves, things will never get better. We support the budget as long as it is to improve our lives collectively. and that you lead through responsibility, and that we
Thank
live
you.
within our means, we don't become indebted
Thank you
and
very
destroy our
much.
children's livelihood.
Do we have Al-Jama? NCC? UAT? The next speaker is Honorable Pitch.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, honorable members, all South Africans. We are truly blessed to call South Africa home. We have more than 3,000 kilometers of coastline, from the desert west to the tropical east. We are home to nearly 300 conservation parks and approximately 300 animal species, and an incredible 8,000 plant
Honorable
species.
Pitch, just a minute. My apologies for that.
No problem.
We don't allow phones to take pictures in the house. No, here. I'm not talking about that side. Can you please proceed?
Thank you, House Chair. As I said, an incredible 8,000 plant species, all of which can only be found here. South Africa is truly a tourism and ecological jewel. Under our new leadership of Honorable Dr. Dion George and his deputy ministers, Honorable Bernice Swart and Narendra Singh, we are in good hands to maximize this potential. I also acknowledge the leadership of Honorable Barbara Creasy in the 6th Parliament. But as we usher in the 7th Parliament and this government of national unity, there is much work that must be done. We must develop a market-friendly approach to our conservation efforts, a conservation business case, if you will. Our responsibility lies in balancing between leveraging and protecting our natural resources to meet the challenges of today and also into the future. These interventions that we will put in place now must have a profound impact for years to come and to generate much needed revenue to counteract the fiscal constraints that we've seen within our department. As my colleague, Honorable De Blok, has emphasized, we must complete the just energy transition, not only for the betterment of our climate, but also for our economy. This portfolio has a great responsibility in advertising South Africa as both a leader of climate adaptation in the global south, whilst also addressing the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. To achieve this, we must ensure that we have policy certainty. We must work hand in hand with environmental stakeholders and other departments whose work aligns with ours, such as the Department of Tourism, in advertising our beautiful country, the Department of Energy and Electricity, as well as the Department of Mineral Resources and Petroleum Energy, towards the successful and sustainable just energy transition, as well as the Departments of Agriculture in protecting our food security, to name a few. And as the cabinet emerges from its first national government Lekgotla, we trust that this work is in process. Within our own department, our strategies must be clear. The National Biodiversity Economy Strategy, which was recently published by the previous minister, and which, as the title suggests, shows that our portfolio fits snugly within the economy cluster. In tackling our unemployment, poverty, and inequality crisis, we must remain guided by our constitution, which mandates our department to foremost promote conservation whilst securing ecological sustainable development and the use of natural resources to promote justifiable economic and social development. This is at the core of sustainability. There is no use in creating jobs while depleting other natural resources. We need to see a generation of upliftment. Other pressing issues that we must address is our continued fight to protect endangered species. This requires diligent work from the department to ensure sufficient boots on the ground and new collaborations with the South African Police Service, the Department of Justice, as well as the South African National Defence Force. We must also address concerns raised by small-scale fishermen in ensuring their livelihoods remain sustained while protecting our fish stocks from foreign exploitation as well as local corruption. In closing, there is great potential in this portfolio, and we wish the department, the minister, the deputy ministers well in their work, and we will ensure that we give both a helping hand and effective oversight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker will be Honorable Nalumango.
Greetings, Honorable House Chair, Honorable Minister and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Committee Chair, and all members present. The department, with the ANC support, is committed to integrating climate change responses across all spheres of government. This is evident in the department's leadership role in implementing the Climate Change Bill, which is the first piece of legislation in South Africa specifically aimed at mitigating and addressing the effects of climate change. The bill is designed to develop and implement strategies that address climate change and institute a fair, long-term energy transition plan, fostering a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. Honorable House Chair, the devastating floods in Cape Town, forcing at least 4,500 people out of their homes and damaging at least 15,000 structures, and the veld fire in KwaZulu-Natal that has claimed several lives and destroyed 196 homes in Umlalazi local municipality. The most recent losses, with at least 180 sheep killed and 10 households destroyed in the fire swept through Mahombe village in the Eastern Cape, are stark reminders of the serious danger posed by climate change. These extreme weather events are consistent with the increased frequency and severity of climate-related disasters predicted by climate science. The department recognizes the urgency of the situation as evidenced by its commitment to leading the implementation of the Climate Change Bill. This legislation is designed to develop and implement strategies to address climate change and institute a fair, long-term energy transition plan, ultimately aiming to foster a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. Honorable House Chair, the department has set aside 8.7 billion over the medium term aimed at creating employment opportunities through the expanded Public Works program, with a focus on environmental protection and infrastructure projects. This includes initiatives such as restoring and rehabilitating degraded ecosystems, increasing land under conservation, protecting wetlands, managing water resources, and addressing challenges in the fisheries and forestry sectors. Despite this, it must be noted that as the expenditure is set to decrease at an average of annual rate of 0.7%, with reductions in the expanded Public Works program, as Honorable Ganso has correctly indicated. This suggests that while the department is committed to addressing climate impacts and creating jobs, there may be limitations in capacity and revenue sources to fully implement all planned activities. As the department is grappling with a decrease in expenditure, particularly in expanded public works program, which is a critical component for job creation and addressing climate impacts, to navigate this challenge, the department has devised a multifaceted strategy. The department is committed to maintaining its core performance despite the budget cuts. This involves prioritizing critical activities and potentially reallocating resources to sustain essential services. Acknowledging the financial constraints, the department is prepared to readjust its targets for the medium-term expenditure framework period to align with the available budget, demonstrating flexibility in its planning. By focusing on efficiency and effectiveness, the department aims to maximize the impact of its spending. This could involve streamlining operations, enhancing project management, and ensuring that funds are directed towards the most effective initiatives. The recent devastating floods in the Western Cape and Eastern Cape highlight the need for a more robust and proactive approach. While the program's focus on legislation resilience and adaptation is commendable, the scale of these disasters suggests that current efforts may not be sufficient to mitigate the increasing risk posed by climate change. Honorable House Chair, to enhance the department's mitigation strategies, a multifaceted approach is necessary. The department should prioritize investments in infrastructure that can withstand the impacts of climate change, such as flood-resistant buildings, fire-resistant materials, and sustainable land use planning. This will require collaboration with other government departments and the private sector. The department should encourage the adoption of green technologies and renewable energy sources to reduce carbon emissions and build a more sustainable economy. This could be facilitated through incentives, subsidies, and partnerships with the private sector. South Africa should leverage international cooperation to access advanced climate change mitigation technologies, share best practices, and secure funding for climate adaptation projects. By implementing these strategies, the department can enhance its capacity to mitigate the impacts of climate change and protect both human communities and natural systems from the increasing risk posed by the changing climate. Honorable House Chair, to harness the full potential of our economic growth, the government has launched the South African Oceans Economy Master Plan, a strategic initiative aimed at unlocking the development of ocean-based industries by 2035. This plan encompasses a broad range of subsectors, including maritime transport, fishing, aquaculture, sea rescue, marine and coastal management. These sectors are pivotal in attracting investment and creating jobs. The allocation of 15-year fishing rights to small-scale fishing cooperatives in the Western Cape is a significant step towards empowering small and medium fishers in the traditional fishing industry. This is part of a broader strategy to develop the microeconomy in coastal areas through the district development model. The department, through the budget, will ensure the sustainable use of marine living resources, and through its fund, conduct 16,500 enforcement compliance operations in prioritized fishing sectors that will create 4,500 jobs through the Fisheries program. This indicates a focus on supporting the livelihoods of those involved in fishery sector, which includes small and medium fishers. In conclusion, the refurbishment of 12 small harbors in the Western Cape has stimulated economic activity and job creation in coastal fishing communities. Plans are underway to further develop small harbors in Port St. John's and Port Alfred, which will drive local industrialization through agro-processing in the fishing industry and create more job opportunities. Honorable House Chair, these are the reasons the African National Congress supports the budget, which will allow the government to keep up the progress it has accomplished so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nolumango. The next and last speaker is the Honorable the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment.
Thank you, honourable members, for your insightful contributions to this debate. We do indeed have a crucial task ahead of us as we consider the sustainable leverage of our natural assets for job-generating economic growth. Yes, indeed, Honourable Ganshaw, we have much work ahead as we implement the Climate Change Bill. When the President signs it into law, it will require collaboration across government and in all three spheres, and it is crucially important that we get it right. Honourable De Block, we most certainly can protect our precious biodiversity and generate jobs in green energy. I assure you there is political will, and I have no doubt that you will hold us to account. Honourable Gaza, I agree. We need to leverage job growth. It is part of our overarching objective. Honourable Zondo, your constructive approach to how we will take our country to greater heights is how we will make South Africa really great. Honourable Peach, we can find the balance if we work together with all stakeholders. Honourable Nalumangu, a just transition can ensure jobs are generated in the green economy and leave nobody behind. Our budget was cut by 2.5 billion rand over the medium term. This happened because our economy is not growing. This potentially impacts on the conservation of our precious natural resources. We will be working on establishing a dedicated fund to attract income, specifically for conservation, and on leveraging the income potential of revenue-generating entities and departments. On the expenditure side, we will be looking at the effectiveness and efficiency of our expenditure with a view to being as lean and agile as possible as we deliver on our mandate. Our department is very much part of the economics cluster, and we will also focus on how we can contribute to generate jobs to help tackle poverty and contribute to everyone in our beloved country becoming everything that they are capable of becoming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, that concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise.